The questions we'll answer in this presentation today is what will we be learning, how will we learn it, why are we learning those things in that way, and when will we know we've learned it. This is really important because normally you enter into a class not having any idea about what the learning is going to be like. Sure, they tell you content and maybe structure, like when exams are going to be, but not exactly what you're learning. And we want to be upfront and transparent with you about what this class is going to be like and what you're going to be learning so that you can make a good decision about staying or entering this class and staying in this class and then engaging in it. So this lecture is meant to accompany your syllabus. So if you haven't already opened it up, you'll want to open your syllabus up either on TED or if you've printed off a copy, open that up and turn to page 2. The reason we're doing a lecture before the first class is because our entire first class is going to be based off of the syllabus, and it's really important that you understand what we're going to be doing before you get there. Otherwise, you're just going to be lost and confused and it won't make any sense. So bear with us. I know it's unusual to attend a lecture before you even get into class, but you'll probably understand why by the end of this PowerPoint, why we're doing this. Okay, so the first question we're addressing today is what will we be learning? And this, like I said, is on page 2 of the syllabus. We're going to be learning we have three main learning objectives: recognizing moral temptations and ethical dilemma paradigms, making judgments about the best ethical action to take in a particular situation, and then taking action. I'm going to talk about each of these in turn. So recognizing moral temptations and ethical dilemma paradigms. What does this mean? Well, in our class, we're going to be distinguishing between what is ethical standards versus what are legal, etiquette, personal issues, regulation standards. It's really important that you learn how to distinguish these things because people often get them confused and or think that something's not an ethical situation when it really is. You'll learn how to articulate your own values and principles and then explain those values and principles as well as other values and principles to others. And this is critical because when you're trying to deal with ethical dilemmas, if you can't articulate and explain to other people, it's going to be very difficult to do anything with regards to ethics, especially in the workplace when your ethics is bound up in the ethics of other people. You're going to be able to name when those values and principles are in conflict. So take something like truth versus loyalty. They often come in conflict, and you need to be able to name those. So if you can name them, then you can act. You will identify and articulate the multiple stakeholders involved and their views on the topic or on the particular situation. And specifically, you'll identify the responsible actor, the actor who is responsible for truly resolving the ethical issue or dilemma. And then you will summarize and explain a given situation as an ethical issue or dilemma. This is really important because in this class, people often think that they have nothing to learn. They're kind of taking this class as an easy class. They're already good moral people and good ethical people, and so they don't really need this class, so it should be kind of easy. Kind of like, say, a native Chinese speaker taking a Chinese language class. However, that is a big misunderstanding that will not serve you well in this class. We know that you're all good people, and we know that you've already been taught not to lie, cheat, and steal, and things like that. But we actually, all good people, myself included, can make bad ethical decisions, especially when we're stressed, tired, under pressure, or ignorant. And it's not always necessarily connected to our character. Sure, a good person will not routinely make bad ethical decisions, but all of us can make bad ethical mistakes. And so this class is really intended to give you the tools to be an ethical professional once you get out there in the world of work and frankly, even an ethical student while you're here at UC San Diego. The second learning objective is making ethical judgments. You will interrogate a situation, which will be an ethical issue or dilemma, to explore the varied options for acting. That's something else that people make a mistake. They think there's only one option, and there's often multiple actions that and one will be better than the other. So you'll make a judgment about which action is the right one to take. And you'll also identify relevant standards of conduct. This is a class on personal ethics at work, and so standards of conduct are going to be extremely relevant to all of the decisions you make as a professional, as an employee. You will then also learn how to justify a course of action based on logic, clarity, and care. So one of the kind of rules in this class is we don't start off our arguments with "I feel that" or "I believe that." Someone not taking this class could say, "I feel like this situation is ethical," or "I believe that people should not lie." You don't need an ethics class to be able to speak like that. So in this class, we're going to be asking you to speak to facts and logic with clarity and care. So you would more say that I've examined the situation and I see the value of loyalty conflicting with the value of truth, and here's the facts that back up my observation. That's the kind of language and arguments that we want you to be able to make by the end of the quarter. You also learn how to check your decided course of action against those chosen by others. And finally, you'll learn hopefully to take ethical action. It's great to identify an ethical issue and make a judgment about it, but if you're not going to articulate hindrances to taking action, identify your resources, give voice to values, resolve problematic situations, then you're not going to take ethical action. And throughout the class, we're actually going to be practicing workplace ethics. So this course is not a course in philosophy or a course on theory. We will use philosophy and theory in order to inform our knowledge and our actions, but we're not going to delve deeply into ethical philosophical theories. And it's also not a course on telling you what is ethical or what isn't ethical, but it's a course on helping you figure out what is ethical and how you're going to act ethically in the world of work. So how are we going to learn all that? This is from the syllabus pages 3 through 9. We're going to learn it experientially by treating the class as a workplace, and then we're going to also learn it through team-based learning. So I'm going to talk about treating the class as a workplace first. So you all know about academic integrity, that you need to have integrity and honesty and be responsible in your academic assignments. Well, I want you to start thinking about academic integrity as professional integrity. So you're already a professional. Your job right now is being a student, and that's your profession. So for us, this class and really the university operates for us as the workplace. The ethics that happen or don't happen in here are akin to the ethics that happen or don't happen in the workplace. So signing your attendance as if you're in a class when you're really not is the same as fraudulently signing timesheets in the workplace. It's the same thing. So we'll be talking about ethics in the workplace, but we will often use examples from your lives as students. And then, so basically we're using where you are now as students to learn about where you're going as professionals, and we hope that creates a bridge for you. So for the purposes of this class, think of UCSD as the main employer, the main organization. Rady is a department within that organization. Management 16, our class, is a sub-department of Rady, as are the other classes. And then your team is a unit within that department, within that organization. And you will be put in teams in the first class, and you will stay in that team for the entire quarter. The team formation process will be transparent, but it will be facilitated by me. So what does this mean? Well, as a department head, I'm the head of the MG16 department for this class, and so I have the authority to make up some rules that have to be in concordance with organization rules, rules by Rady and rules by UCSD, and frankly even rules by the University of California. But you'll have some say in things as well, just like any employee. You will actually have a say in negotiating reward structure. In our case, those are grade weights. And you will be able to decide your team rules and codes of conduct. You'll be writing a code of ethics for your own team in this class. So let's transition now to the second part, which is the team-based learning, how we're going to be learning this experientially. One, treating the class as a workplace. Two, using team-based learning. So thinking about what you want to get out of college and this course, which of the following is most important to you? Acquiring information, learning how to use information and knowledge in new situations, or developing lifelong learning skills. Which is most important to you? Now thinking about those three things again, Which do you think you can make headway on outside of class on your own, and which are best achieved in class working with everyone else? Team-based learning is based on the idea that number 2 and 3 are more easily developed in class or working with other people than they are working on your own. You can acquire information on your own these days, facts, principles, concepts. We will use our class time together to learn how to use that information and apply that knowledge into new situations, and those will transpire into lifelong learning skills. So how are we going to do this? What is team-based learning? It's based on 3 phases, and this you can read about this in pages 3 to 5 in your syllabus. First phase is class preparation. Second phase is the readiness assurance process, and the third phase are the application activities. In the first phase, which is class preparation, you will be doing readings. I will assign readings along with a reading guide, which will pose the questions that you want to think about as you're reading the material. You'll also watch pre-recorded lectures by me or by other people, like this one. And you might do some individual preparation activities. All of this will be given to you in your guide on a weekly basis. So this is a weekly based class. In other words, it's unlike other classes where you might have 1 midterm and a final or 2 midterms and a final, where you can just not read for 3 weeks and then cram right before the midterm. Every week you will need to be doing this material to ready yourself for class, because once you get into class, we enter into the readiness assurance process phase, or RAP. And this includes an individual readiness assurance test, so a test that you take by yourself. You then take the same test with your team. I then review any concepts that seem to be causing people troubles, and then you can actually appeal. So the individual test is just like any other multiple choice test that you take on campus. It's closed notes, closed books, no e-devices. You protect your answers, you keep your eyes on your own tests. Each week there'll be about 15 questions, and you'll be given about 15 minutes. And once you're finished, you can't leave the classroom and you can't turn on your e-devices or whatever. You just have to wait quietly for others to finish. As soon as everybody's done, or at 15 minutes, whichever comes first, we head into the team-based test. It's also closed notes, closed books, no e-devices. It's the exact same test, only the team chooses the answer. We use something called an if-at form, which you can see right here. The if-at form is kind of a lottery card. It's a scratch thing. So your team talks about the question, decides on an answer, and scratches off that answer. If you're right, you'll see an asterisk, and you get 3 points. If you're wrong, you don't see an asterisk, and so you can try it again. And you get 2 points if you get the right answer on your second try, 1 point if you get it right on the third try. And so it's really a way where you are given the opportunity to keep trying and learning about the material as you discuss it with your teammate. Then, before you get into the appeal process, I will review any content that seems to be tripping up a large majority of the class. And then you can appeal. So in this class, we acknowledge that the department head isn't perfect and she might make mistakes sometimes. We also acknowledge that the readings can be confusing. So you can appeal on 2 grounds. So this is if your team gets a question wrong, you can appeal based on one of 2 grounds. One, the question. I worded the question ambiguously. So to appeal that, you would describe the source of ambiguity and you'd actually rewrite the question to reduce that ambiguity. Or you might say, hey, we're appealing on the second ground. The readings were really ambiguous, or the lecture and reading were conflicting. So like Dr. BG, you said in lecture this, but Kidder said in the book this, and they conflict. But you would actually have to provide supporting page references and quotes. So this is open book. You would go back to the material and you would find the material that is relevant and use that as the basis of your appeal. The purpose of the appeal process is not only to ensure fairness, that you're not being tested in an unfair way, but also to keep you engaged with the material. This is another opportunity for you to learn and apply the material. So an appeal can only be submitted on behalf of the team, and it represents everyone on the team. One person cannot write the appeal while everybody else goes off on break or something. If the appeal is granted, the team and any individuals who are graded incorrectly will receive the points. And you'll have about 15 minutes to do that appeal in class, and then we head right into a short break, 10 minutes, but you can go to your break as soon as you're done your appeal or if you're not appealing at all. So then we have our break, and then we come back to class, and we enter into phase 3, which is the application activities. And you have two kind of things in this class, a weekly application activity and a final team application project. The team application activity gives you the chance to apply your new knowledge to more complicated problems. Each team will get the same problem. You'll work on it independently as teams, and then we'll simultaneously respond or report out your solution to the problem, and then the teams will talk about it, the class will talk about it. Each of these will help you develop the knowledge you need for your team's final application project. That project will be a poster and in the last class, and we will talk more about that when we get further into the class. And then we'll have 5 or 10 minutes left in the class. You'll put everything back in your team folder. Every team will have a folder every week. You'll record your test scores as well as any absences in the folders, and you'll have time to address any final issues, concerns, questions with your team, myself, or Stacy. So in this class, using team-based learning and seeing the class as a workplace, you will be given practice making the kind of decisions that we make in the world of work, what John Dewey, a theorist, calls dramatic rehearsal for real-world problem solving. In team-based learning, your energy is focused on analyzing different pieces of evidence, weighing the merits of those evidence against one another, and using the concepts from ethics to argue towards a best conclusion together. Now note, I know some of you might be freaking out now because you've worked in groups before and it's been horrible. But learning in TBL, team-based learning teams, is different because the teams are constructed purposely to ensure equal opportunity to succeed. In other words, I spread out the assets from team to team. Your teamwork occurs during class. You're not having to get together outside of class to get things done. Individuals are held accountable to the team for their preparedness through the readiness assurance process. So you don't get loafers and slackers like you do in regular group work. And your assignments are based on decision-making and discussion, not producing lengthy products on a weekly basis. The only lengthy product is that last poster. So finally, I just want to address why we're learning this material in this way. It's largely because of what you're going to need in the world of work. You can see here that employers identify the following skills as critical for graduates. Ethical judgment and integrity are right up there at the top. So that's a good reason why you're taking the personal ethics at work class to begin with. But then look at all these other things. All these other skills are skills that we are going to be helping you build through the team-based learning class. So you will have not only a better resume by the time you graduate than students who have not taken this class or taken this class with a normal kind of lecture exam pedagogy, but you will be able to speak to these skills and exemplify these skills at a more sophisticated level than other peers with whom you'll be competing with for jobs. So that's a good thing. The other reason is, you can see here, this class is providing you the opportunity to develop skills and knowledge that will help you stay employed once you get a job. So you can see here that new college hires are disciplined and fired for things like unethical behavior, lack of work ethic, ineffective in teams. Again, all of these things we will be addressing in our class, not all as a content area, but through our regular process of the class and working in teams and working in this class. So you'll know you've learned the material each week. That's the great thing about this. You'll have feedback from the IRATs and the TRATs and the application activities. You'll have just a few assignments throughout the quarter as an individual and a team. And at the end, you'll have an individual take-home exam to demonstrate that you've learned it, and it's the team application project that I mentioned, the poster. So Who should stay in this class or be in this class? If you are motivated to learn and grow as an individual and a professional, this is the class for you. If you're able to be self-disciplined and manage your time every week, and you like to read and develop critical reading ability, this is the class for you. If you're naturally curious about ethics in the workplace and you want to learn how to make better ethical decisions, this is definitely the class for you. And if you want to be active and interactive in class and engage in your work with the utmost integrity, then you'll be extremely happy in this class. We'll have a good time together and learn a lot as well. So thank you very much. We're looking forward to seeing and meeting you in our first class. In that first class, we will form teams, demonstrate the readiness assurance process that I talked about today, demonstrate the team application activity that I talked about today, and review how to prepare for the next class so you start to get into the rhythm that we will be in every week. Thanks, and see you soon.